Okay.
Assalamu alaikum and good day to everyone. Welcome to the Islam and Liberty Network's ongoing webinar series called Edraak, Recognizing Liberty. The Edraak webinar series is part of our monthly public dialogues aimed at enhancing understanding of the concept of liberty, its theoretical, legal, and social dimensions within diverse intellectual traditions. Today, we are honored to share our space with Professor Mustapha Radji from University of Mostaganem, Algeria. Dr. Mustapha Radji is a senior professor of sociology and economics at the university since 2019. His research focuses on the intersection of Sufi Islam and entrepreneurship. He has authored the book Religiosity and Governance and other published papers exploring Sufism, peace building, and social entrepreneurship. In 2014, he founded the Hayek Institute for Economic Thinking, an online platform for discussing economic public policy in Algeria from a liberal perspective. Some of the Institute's online events have been featured on television programs. Beyond his academic pursuits, Dr. Radji actively engages with civil society. He has also collaborated with Sufi organizations on various initiatives. Our discussion today will begin with an examination of the rich history and contemporary potential of Sufi endowments in Algeria, examining how these centuries-old institutions are re-emerging as vital civil society actors. We will be going on a journey to discover the legal and institutional barriers that continue to limit their capacity and the reforms needed to unlock their full potential for sustainable development and peace building. This session will be moderated by the CEO of Islam and Liberty Network, Dr. Ali Salman. Let's now begin with Dr. Mustapha Radji's presentation. Over to you, Mustapha.
Thank you, Noor, and Ali, to having me here in this webinar. It was it's pleasure to me to be with you and to share with you and to participate with you and all our friends. Today it's my first time to be in this webinar after many participation in the conference of Iran. Today I will talk to you. I will first share with you now. I will share the presentation. Go ahead. Go ahead. Okay. Then, the title it's about Sufi Waqf. It is about Waqf in general, but specifically on Sufi Waqf. And his role as support for civil society, but also the limit and restraint from law and institutions. Can you go second? Noor? Noor, can you go? Yeah. Then the topic here is how Islamic tradition via Waqf can foster civic society, and how civic Waqfs have played a historical role in the past as civil society, but now its resources underused. And finally, maybe we are looking for hope in the future for revival of Waqf, as support for society if legal space will be available. Yeah? Noor? We, in this presentation, we will use a framework from Nobel Prize Asim Oglu. It's next year, last year, Nobel Prize in Economics. And he have a lot of books. And I have chose this books, 2020, The Narrow Corridor. If you go, Noor, yeah, Noor, go ahead. look, this book, it's about a corridor between two things, between state and society. There is some countries and some societies have strong states, like China, for example, and it is outside the corridor. And we have societies with strong society, like, for example, some small societies in Africa, in West Africa. But it's bad thing. Well, but we are looking for something complementary and equilibrated, balanced between strong society and strong state. And yeah, Noor. Yeah. And in this corridor, we are looking for cooperation. And in this corridor, what we have, like some countries like United States and British and United Kingdom and many countries in the West mainly, in this corridor, we have not just competition and conflict between state and society, we have also cooperation. And the main issue, the main idea for liberty, for people who are looking for liberty, the liberty to emerge and to flourish, we need both things. We need states and society. Strong state and strong society. Okay? Go ahead. Then, if we apply this framework from cooperation between complementarity between state and society, we put it in Islamic tradition. If we are looking for the corridor, if we are looking that can Muslim countries be in this corridor, the good corridor, we look at how Waqf, for example, the Waqf as foundation for civil society will help, will support strong society, which cooperates and to be complementary role with the state in plural societies. Yeah. A lot of people know what means in this webinar, what means Waqf. In general, the Waqf is endowment for public goods, for example, education, health, but it's not from the state, but it's from the society, and it is usually traditionally it's from outside state control. By endowments, you can found schools, mosques, health services, and give a lot of services for societies. It's like private initiative based on wealth and property, but serving the public interest. Okay, this is in general, in broad sense, what is Waqf and the rule of Waqf. Okay. If there are, in the literature, there are a lot of functions of the Waqf. Mainly the Waqf in Islamic law, it's flexible distribution of wealth. Okay, because there is some critical perspective on, for example, heritage law. A lot of scholars, for example, modernist scholars say that heritage law, it's made a restriction on distribution of wealth. But if we see the Waqf, and mainly in the Hanafi law, because even in Algeria and Tunisia, in North Africa, we are Malikites. But for the Waqf, we chose Hanafi law from 15th century. 15th century. From the Ottoman, because from the Ottoman law, the Ottoman period, we have this Hanafi law. And it is like flexible wealth and give to the donor the liberty and freedom to choose how to distribute his wealth and how to protect this wealth and how to distribute from his will. And he served like protection of family and women, because sometimes the heritage law, it's not usually fair from women. But if you use Waqf law, you can give women more right. And in general, in society, according to literature, Waqf was used as support for social network behind and outside the family. It's give shield support and from refugee from Spain in 14th centuries, political refugees. For example, in 15th, 16th century, there is some deal between Sufi people and communities and political power, and the Waqf can give can give support for refugees. Also, internationally, Waqf has played a role in international aid and diplomacy. For example, if you see this, what we call it Waqf al-Haramain. Usually, most Waqf, contract Waqf, said in final phase, when there is no people who benefits the people, this way Waqf go to al-Haramain. That means go to Arabi Saudi now, to al-Hajj, to Mecca and Medina, to support visitors and even to support imams. That means Waqf, it's like international aid. And this relationship between the Maghreb, North Africa, and the people, the Muslim in North Africa and the Muslim in Mecca and Medina, in the pilgrim, it's support network and support even diplomacy between countries. Yeah. Usually, when you read the literature on Waqf, you have this distinction between public and private Waqf. Okay, public Waqf, that means Waqf destinated to school services, health, education, and private Waqf is destinated to family, just for family. But in last phase, it will be public. After there is no family to receive this Waqf, it will to go to the public. But Sufi Waqf, it's something mixed. It is Waqf for public. No, please, can you go a bit before that? The Waqf, Sufi Waqf, it's mixed model. It's Waqf for public, but also for family. That means the family, he is managing this Waqf. The family can be beneficiator of this Waqf. Also the public, that it's two beneficial, the public and the family. This and the Sufi Waqf and the Zawaya Waqf, it's in this category. Okay. Yeah. If you read literature about Sufism in Africa, in North Africa, you see that Zawaya, that is Sufi institutions, with the Waqf support as material support, they have played big roles, a lot of roles. For example, they have supported, because in North Africa, it's mainly we have not like in the Middle East, we have not strong government. The governments are weak, are just in 2 cities or 3 cities, but the whole region is rural and outside the control of the state. And in this area, we have the Sufi Waqf and the Sufi people, Sufi institution to support people. They have supported poor people. They have supported travelers in outside countries, because it is not easy to travel in the whole region of the Maghreb in the 15th, 16th, 17th century. It's not easy. There's a lot of security, a lot of risks. But Sufi Waqf have given security for travel and hospitality and accommodation, and also for refugees. People when and they are refugees from from political refugees or criminal refugees, they found Sufi Waqf as place to be refugee and have support. And all the main role of Sufi Waqfs have played the role of mediation in the rural area between the political power in the city and society, rural society, and outside in the countryside of country. And if there is a lot of rules and function from the Sufi Waqf, spiritual, economic, and we will not look in detail of that. It is the main functions. Okay. For example, if you take Algeria in the pre-colonial period, in pre-colonial, we was for 3 centuries under the Ottoman rulers. And after we have the French colonialism. Under the Ottoman rulers, Sufi orders and Sufi groups and Sufi Waqf was very strong, was mediator between society and state. When the French arrive, for example, if you the Waqf was confiscated, public like mosques and school was confiscated by the French state. They control it and they in charge. But from private Waqf and from family Waqf and Sufi Waqf, it was limited and to control it. And if to have a good idea about the role of Zawaya and Sufi institutions, like in the end of the 18th century, we have like 6% of population living in urban population. 6%. All only small parts of people in Algeria live in the cities, and all country the majority of countries are rural population. And here Sufi Waqf have maintained big role because we have like 120 families supported by the Waqf, and like 1.5 million of people. The population, it was like 3 million of Muslim, mainly in the rural area, and 500,000 was affiliated to Sufi people, and we have like 340 like Sufi institutions giving education and giving service, social services. Okay, can you go ahead? But after independence, for the majority of Arab and Muslim countries, we have seen the all Waqf was nationalized. In Egypt, Syria 49, Egypt 52, Turkey, even from under the Atatürk, the government of Atatürk. In Muslim countries, no, I can say all the countries, all Muslim countries after independence from colonial period, they have confiscated and nationalized all Waqf. Even private Waqf in Egypt and Syria and Tunisia was abolished, which is something strong. For example, the mosque was because public. The mosque, for example, was under the state because it was public Waqf, but private Waqf should be family Waqf. Now they have confiscated and limited, and in Tunisia they have even eliminated and say it's prohibited to make a private Waqf. And in the majority of Muslim countries, the civil society was awakened. What will be awakened because the Waqf, because the civil society was based on the support of Waqf. And when we marginalize it and eliminate Waqf, that means you are marginalizing and eliminating the civil society. Can you, yeah? But in the 90s, after the fall of Soviet Union, and we see like Algeria, for example, was a socialist country, but from the 90s, we have some reform, economic reform, liberal political and economic reforms. And in this period, we have seen like some revival Zawaya, and we see they have make the they have we have see some laws to give again the right to Sufi because their Waqf was confiscated. But since 90s, we see states give them back their property, and we see under the civil society association, civil association, we see the Zawaya try to make a role as civil actors by peace building and decarization, and putting some action in education and enterprise. Okay, but yeah, but even but there is some obstacles and some limitation. We have some difficulties. The Sufi organization and Sufi communities have but they have potential agenda for civic society, but there is a lot of constraint and limit from the law, and the legal identity is ambiguous. They are not recognized as public utility public as foundation. As not, it's like they are recognized as association, and the status of association is very limited status. And also we have in Algeria and in Tunis and Morocco centralized authority that limit and flexible and limits the flexibility of civil society and Sufi society. And there is no framework to guarantee this independent civic action for everybody, for every civil society, and mainly for a Sufi society. And in this way, some reforms proposal we need. We need, for example, to update Waqf legislation and to guarantee the legal personality to Zawaya and the main status, the good status, the good form is the law of foundations. And in Algeria and in Tunisia and Morocco, we have no law for foundation. Foundation in the sense of the US and UK. We have just a law, French law of association. We cannot make foundation. Maybe Malaysia will be a good example, or other in Asia. I don't know. I have no good information, press information, but I'm sure now that people in Algeria, Sufi people, Sufi network, Sufi Zawaya, Sufi organization, institutions are needed new legal legislation, new legal framework, and the best for them is to have foundation law. Or law of foundations, like US foundations, for example. Okay, what we have also? Noor. In the conclusion, we have a throughout history from 15th, 13th century. Sufi Waqf has heritage, big heritage. Waqf the Waqf, the heritage of Waqf, it's very, for people who look at for liberal people in Muslim countries who look at to respect propriety, to respect the will of people worldwide, to look at the freedom of the will. The Waqf, the law of Waqf, it's very, very important. It's resolve many dilemma and many problems because it is solution. It is flexible law to respect the will the will of the donor, the will of people who have resources, and the will of how to manage or how to transmit or how to distribute your wealth. The waqf, it's very important. And in this sense, Sufi groups have used this waqf to to uh, to sponsor a lot of activities and to produce a lot of services in societies where the state was weak. But now we need, if you in Muslim countries, for example, in North Africa, if we look at the Sufi people or Sufi organization uh, to make again a big role civil as support for civil society, we have to empower these communities with the new legal framework. And it is bad for civil society and pluralism rooted in our tradition. And we said no future without rules. I think it's the last one. No, it's last one. There is no. No. This is no. I thought it's my conclusion. Okay, because no, it's okay. It's okay. I think I think the conclusion. No. It's okay. It is. There is. If we look at reversing and empowering civil society in Muslim countries, we have to look our waqf, and mainly the private waqf. We have to defend the private waqf and the mixed waqf. It's very important for our civil society. Okay, thank you very much for watching and for attending, and I'm ready to respond and to comment and to listen to benefit from your experience, because we are coming from many Muslim countries, and I hope to learn, but how things is doing there outside and beyond Algeria and North Africa. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mustapha, for that interesting presentation. I think it's especially beneficial for those of us who don't know a lot about waqfs in today's context. Like in Malaysia, for instance, we have a lot of private waqfs, and they perform humanitarian services and provide charities. They also not just within the country, but also abroad. There's a very popular one that supports humanitarian efforts in Syria, for instance. So these are some of, and we also have those that support Palestine. So that's an example that I can give from Southeast Asia. Anyway, over to Ali, who will be moderating the session today.
Thank you, Noor. Maybe we can stop sharing the screen. Thank you so much, Dr. Mustapha, for a very informed, comprehensive, enlightening presentation on an important topic. As a student of the Islamic economic framework and also history of Waqf in Muslim civilization, I found your presentation very helpful to provide an update of where the Waqf institution is today, and it is not entirely different from Algeria and other countries, as you remarked that in the end it was nationalized and therefore the state took over. I think this is a common experience by all Muslim majority societies which were liberated after colonization, and that they lost the institution. Some of the countries have revived the institution of Waqf, including Malaysia, and I think they are using it very effectively in social development. I find many interesting topics in your presentation, and I'm going to just share my remarks, and then following the remarks, we can have some discussion. I think, first of all, I would like to agree that historically, Waqf played a very important role in the in socio-economic development of Muslim societies. It started with the religious inspiration, but then it continued as a legal instrument, as a legal institution, and it was adopted and it sustained really centuries. It sustained as an institution over centuries. Um, and it was, I think it's interesting that you brought the idea of civil society and Waqf together. This is an interesting insight with only social protection or social welfare, but you have related the institution of Waqf with civil society, which is, I think, interesting because it means that there is a civil institution beyond the control of the state, and that civil institution is able to provide certain services to the citizens without any intervention from the state itself. That means that Waqf is an institution which is an extension of private property, being used for larger social welfare, and therefore I think it remains very crucial, to even this date. And when you refer civil society, I also think of democracy in general, because civil society and democracy also interlinked. And I think in societies where civil society is strong, democracy is also strong, and the power of the state is curtailed. The chained leviathan or shackled leviathan, as the term used by the authors of the book, The Narrow Corridor, which you have quoted in the very start. So shackled leviathan and empowered civil society is, we need both. And to me, it seems that Waqf provides an economic model of a very strong civil society, which can then become a foundation or a pillar of strong democracy as well, and a democracy which is liberal in nature, and a democracy which then can challenge the state powers built on the foundations of citizens. I think in that respect is very important. I hope that we can learn more about the current manifestations of Waqf in Muslim societies. In Pakistan, I can tell you that the application of Waqf is very limited. In fact, it's largely in the hand of a ministry, and mostly it is religious. It is shrines, the properties around shrines, which are under that ambit, under that law. There have been some recent attempts to actually improve, expand the legal framework, but they're still under consideration. There is, I would like to maybe mention 2 points here for your inputs. One point is that which Temur Quran mentioned in his works, and that is there is an alternative view of this alternative reading of Muslim history, economic history in particular, and that alternative view believes that, and Temur Quran writes about it, that since Waqf institution was rigid, as it was not changing, the legal structure was rigid because of the religious protection. Over time, Muslim society could not develop properties for different usage as the time passes. for different socio-economic needs. For instance, if the Waqf, which the person who writes the Waqf is Waqif, so if he writes that, okay, we want to fix the benefits from a property for masjid, then it will remain so as only for masjid, and nothing can be changed about it. So that rigidity in the legal structure proved to be an obstacle in the dynamic economic development of Muslim civilization. And so that's the view which the More Quran holds. And I'm wondering if you have any thoughts on that. And my second sort of question for you, and it's more technical, is that whether there is any distinction when it comes to beneficiaries of Waqf. Is there any distinction on the basis of religion? At one point in your presentation, you mentioned as Muslims being the beneficiaries, but I wanted to understand better that in terms of beneficiaries based on religion, or is it more universal in nature? So these are the 2 points I would like to leave with you, and then maybe come back later in a follow-up conversation.
Thank you. What we do, Noor? Response now, or I will comment now, or
Yes.
thanks for this. Thanks for this very interesting comment, Dr. Ali. And before that, I will put some things in the news. News about Syria, for example. Syria now, after Assad, there is a lot of problem of people who was refugees, who was outside Syria. And now they are facing the problem of accommodation of houses. People come from outside Syria and don't found houses, and there is some houses without people. And there is some debate in civil society, and some people have put this idea of how to use the Waqf to give accommodation to location for these refugees, but momentarily. And how to because people want to use Waqf now to resolve problem of people refugees or coming back to Syria, but they don't found a home where to live. Then the Waqf now in Syria now, in the debate, in the open Syria now, Waqf can be used as solution for this crisis. Yes, in Pakistan, in Algeria, we have some new law, project of new law. There is some things good progress, but there is some things limitation. For example, there is a draft in Algeria for new law of Waqf. There is some things good. For example, they for first time they talk about private Waqf and the mixed Waqf. The law now recognize there is private Waqf and mixed Waqf, and the law said it will be protected. And they give something new. The draft, we don't know what will be the final project, final law. The draft in discussion talk about foundations, Waqf foundation. And I think if they adopt the notion, the category of Waqf foundation, it will resolve all the problem. But in this draft law, there is something restrictive on private law, private waqf. They said because private waqf, it's family waqf. And this in the draft law, they said they will limit the generation, the generation beneficiary of private law. In Islamic law, classical law, there is no limit for generation. When the founder puts his property as private waqf for his family, that means for all generation. When there is no generation linked to him, they will go to Al-Haramain waqf for to support pilgrim al-Hajj. But in this draft law, they will limit the private law to 4 generations, tabaqat. And I think it's something restrictive. And I hope to learn more about what happened, for example, in Malaysia, in maybe in Indonesia. In Indonesia, because they are republic. And I have talked to an expert in UK who is managing the waqf. He said it's better to see what happened in Indonesia, because Indonesia is a republic, and Algeria and Tunisia are republic. Maybe things will be different from republic to the monarchy. Maybe, I don't know. Yes, to come back to two main comments, observation from Dr. Ali. Yes, usually when we read, there is some literature, when we read the role of waqf in civil society and Muslim society, we have this thesis of Timur Quran. Timur Quran always have said that waqf law is limiting, is restrictive. It is not flexible. It's not flexible, and it's not help economic development. Now I was in accordance with him in the past, but now I'm not sure. I'm not sure that the law waqf was restrictive, because mainly because the objective, the main of the waqf law, it's not economic, it's for social solidarity. Because people, when they put wealth in waqf status as waqf, that means they support social objective. They mean solidarity. They mean support. They mean what we call social welfare. They not use it as waqf for business, because when you put your property and wealth in waqf, you cannot sell it and put it in investment. That means, but I have seen that waqf law have because Timur Quran always talk about the inheritage law, and it is not helping for accumulating capitals, because he said to have capitalism you have to accumulate capitals, and when you apply inheritance law, you will distribute and fractionize your capital, and you are not getting sufficient accumulation of capital to make your business. But I think I have found in the Islamic and waqf law the possibility of to limiting this risk. The founder, the property of wealth, can choose where we put his wealth, and to protect the wealth to be accumulated, but as social capital, not business capital, I think, in the moment. Then in the conclusion, I'm not sure now that it was because see, in Tunisia in 19th century, under the Muslim reform, Khairuddin, before the French come, they have with the waqf, they have give the managing of public waqf to the city, because Timur Quran always talk about in Muslim countries we don't manage cities, organized cities like the commune, البلدية, this assembly, local assembly to manage the city. Now, in Khairuddin Tunsi, 19th century Tunisia, they have, before the French camp, Khairuddin, the big liberal reformator in Tunisia and the Middle East, have put the Waqf under the city, under the assembly of city, and it's give it his it give and it is it's give this Waqf property public, as managed by the public. I think now in this stage I'm not sure, but that Waqf law have inhibited or restricted economic development, social economic. I'm sure that is now, contrary, it is good thing, and he have resolved a lot of problems in the past and even today, as social development and social welfare. For economy, I cannot respond for the economic business. I'm not. But you can use, for example, the Waqf, the private Waqf, to support the family who doing business indirectly. Okay, maybe they will go to social entrepreneurship. Maybe social business. They will support them. Okay, for the beneficiary, there is some literature on in the Middle East on Christian and Jewish Waqf. There is some authors have write about not as Muslim Waqf, as Christian and Jewish Waqf, and there is some records that Jewish and Christian in Palestine in 19th century they have made Waqf in the Muslim judiciary, in the Muslim court. Jewish people, rich Jewish people, or Christian, they go to the court, Muslim court, Hanafi court, and they make their Waqf. They protect their wealth under Islamic law. There is some record there. And I have what I have seen, what they know in the Maghreb, they have used Waqf to give to Jewish refugees, because in 15th century, a lot of Jewish have come from Spain under Conquista, under Spain, when they expels Jewish in North Africa. They will come to North Africa, the Jewish, and I know that I have read that Muslim, they give them Waqf to protect them. But in the North Africa, I don't see they Jewish and the Christian, they use Waqf. They can, but not I benefit. They can use Waqf, but I'm not sure if they have, if you can, they will be beneficial directly, maybe indirectly, because when there is Waqf, Jewish or Christian, there's law of record, they can use it as contracts in the contracts. Muslim can let Jewish or Christian to use this Waqf in the contract of allocation of make business or make business, for example. Use real estate, Jewish use real estate merchant to use this real estate Waqf for his business. It's okay. There are a lot of record here. I'm not sure if I have response of your questions, Dr.
Thank you, Mustapha. This is very helpful. I mean, you answered all my points. Appreciate that. I have a follow-up question. When I was listening to you about modern developments in the legal structure, and you refer to as your recommendation was around the idea of reform and making it as a foundation, right? Making as a foundation. And I was thinking that in US, for instance, giving money, giving charitable contributions to foundations have a lot of incentives for donors, for businesses, and they get tax deductions. Those incentives are huge. Is there anything which is under consideration for Waqf reforms in Algeria or in any other country you might have studied and any thought which you can share in that topic would be helpful.
It's for me, questions?
Yeah.
I have said that in the draft law, we have this entity, the juridical entity, this is something new in the draft law. They talk about Waqf foundation, مؤسسات الوقفية. But the paragraph is short and it is not, there is a lot of clarification. Maybe the law, maybe the draft will be developed to give more details about how to make foundation. And even me, for example, like when I have worked with the civil Sufi organization, we have organized meeting, like workshop with Sufi people, with the jurists and the scholars coming from Sufi organization, and we have think about draft of law for foundation. How draft law with articles 1, 2, 3, give some definition, and maybe it is the impact of our meeting, of our lobbying. Maybe I'm not sure, but I think it's the draft. If the draft, if the new law, when it was promulgated, if it will talk about or safeguard this notion of Waqf foundation, it will be great things. It will be good news, And I think the US model, it's very important, the foundation, because the foundation in the US are Christian, because this Nobel Prize. A lot of people say why there is not Nobel Prize in IT or in new discipline, for example, in IT, for example, information technology, for example. There is because we have a Nobel Prize. It's for mathematics, physics, medicine, literature, maybe other things like I don't know, but and people. They said why in Nobel Prize don't not include a new discipline. The response is that it is Waqf, because Nobel, when he have make this donation, he have limited, and it's restrictive. Also, it's restrictive. Then it is not flexible. The Nobel Foundation, Nobel Heritage, Nobel Donation, Nobel Prize, it's flexible. It's not flexible. It's rigid for 5 disciplines, and it's okay. Because if there is another people want to make, for example, the economics, it is not the Nobel Prize. It's the bank. It's the price of the bank. It's not for the bank in Sweden, not Nobel. And that's Nobel. That means yes, it's restrictive, and I think the rigidity, it's very important sometimes for the Waqf, because if we put a lot of flexibility, because there is some debate in Waqf literature, if there is a lot of flexibility, for example, that's hurt the Waqf, because the Waqf is based on is based on the trust. Because it's when you make Waqf, you have people trusted to manage those Waqf. But if you let people free and flexible to manage this Waqf, maybe one day they will see we will stop it Waqf and go to business or to sell this Waqf. And it's difficult in Islamic law to stop to make the flexibility of selling Waqf. There is some muawadat, exchanging Waqf, but it's also there is a lot of restriction to sell the Waqf. Even it looks like not economic or not without economic value or social value. That means rigidity in Waqf is good for Waqf sometimes, because because Waqf, it's social capital. It's based on social capital, on trust. Because you put your wealth for foundation, and this foundation have mission to manage and to manage this capital for society, and you have to, because you have to protect and save the mission of the mission and objective of the Waqf, not to be flexible to do a lot of things, or to do otherwise things to hurt to the mission and of Waqf. I think we have to learn from the US, from the law of they will call it the law of 501. It will give, for example, a lot of universities, a lot of, for example, Cambridge or Cambridge in the US, they have this, what do you call it, the big famous university based on Waqf, on foundation. Harvard, they are Waqf. They receive donation. They receive from people, and they manage, and they invest. They invest, and in Islam, you can invest. You can invest. There is no restriction, no rigidity. You can invest the Waqf to make business, but the return will go back to the Waqf, not for people. You know, you can do business. You can use the money of Waqf to make business, but to support the Waqf, not for to be rich. Huh? The Waqf will be rich, not the people. It's a restriction, but necessary restriction.
Thank you.
I think,
Mustapha, we really appreciate the work which you do, even as individual, academic. I think it is very important that the work which you do and the ideas that you are talking about and spreading in difficult, very difficult conditions in Algeria is still very valuable. And I wish to, my best wishes for your success. And I thank you for joining us in this webinar. And I'd like to hand over to my colleague Noor to formally conclude the webinar.
Thank you so much, Ali and Mustapha, for that really interesting, insightful conversation. I think we all leave here wondering what are the possibilities of, economy that's so much more rooted in social justice, and how Waqfs can play a role in it. Inshallah. So this recording will be made available on YouTube. And you can also, if you have not, follow us on social media. Islam and Liberty Network is available on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you are also interested in following more updates, do subscribe to our Substack by visiting our website. Thank you and have a good day.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you, Noor. See you soon.